My name is John. This is the Coaching to Flourish podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have Gabrielle Matthews here, and you went through. She went through the executive coach training program.
Yeah.
You found your calling when you were a human development class in Auburn, and now you're a real life coach, changing people's lives. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and talk and share my insight.
I can't wait. So let's dive right in. I'd love to hear your 2-minute story, 3-minute story.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did take the executive coach training, and it was amazing. I loved everything that I learned about leadership and what I learned about pulling things out of people. I feel like I learned a lot about wisdom, and I learned a lot more about myself. And I really realized that coaching people and helping people be better than what they are now is definitely my calling. I was kind of the go-to girl growing up for advice and anything like relationships, life, family. Like people would always ask me like, what do you think? And I would never have a problem like sharing my insight, and they would always come back. They would keep coming back to me and keep coming back. So I found that to be effective. And then as I went into the career world and I worked in sales and hospitality and the beauty industry, when I was managing, I would speak to some of my employees and they're like, you should write a book. Or, sometimes people would look at me and like, are you a philosopher? And I guess that was kind of those little nuggets for me, showing me that what you have to say is valuable. Your message is very valuable to people. It may not be that valuable to you, but it's very valuable to other people. And that was really important to me because growing up, I wanted to make sure that I could stand out. I was very serious about being authentic. I'm an authentic leadership coach now. And my individuality and originality is very, very important to me. And so I was trying to find like, what was my thing? What do I care about? Like, what am I effective at? What am I powerful in? Like, not just what am I good at, but what am I powerful in? So yes, I did go to Auburn University and I studied human development and family studies. And I just fell in love with the deep and why. Why is my favorite word in the world. My friends always say you'll turn into why. Like you're eventually going to turn into why. So I fell in love with looking at why people are the way they are, and it taught me so much compassion, to have compassion for people, because nature and nurture, and we are kind of developed sometimes just because of our environment, and sometimes our environment is not healthy. And so I realized that, and I was like, I think somewhere along the way, I probably have not been as authentic as I want to be, right? Naturally, life kind of puts us all in, like you just start to be molded by life and you start to dismiss the things that are important to you. And so when I went back into that human development family studies class, I was like, no, I'm going to do what's important to me. I realized that I probably changed the way I was, probably because of my nature and my nurture. But it was important to me for me to now develop myself the way I think that I should be. So I've been on a journey of personally developing myself. I love to read books. I love to listen to podcasts. I love mentors and guidance. Like I am a lifelong student, a lifelong learner. I'm at the front of the class because I just want to know. I love being in the room with people who know more than me. I just love education and wisdom and insight and anything that can help me be better than what I am today. And I want to help other people do that very same thing.
That's awesome. Where did you grow up, and what were some of the key things you took away?
So I grew up in North Atlanta, Georgia, and I grew up in a matriarch. And I think that's definitely part of my story, because being in a matriarch, the women had a lot of like really high standards, sometimes like absurdly high, but really high standards. And I didn't ever really feel like I was measuring up. Got to the point when I realized like who I was and who I wanted to be wasn't enough or wasn't right for the matriarch. And obviously that was very painful, to feel like who I am is not good enough. But like I said, in my journey, I've found to be very okay with who I am, because I know a lot of people around me, and strangers too, see value and worth in me too. And that has helped me refine the value in myself. I'm a speaker and I love to talk and ask questions. And I think that growing up when I was little, I'm a very wise person. And growing up when I was little, I would ask very big questions.
Yeah.
And I think I was asking questions that people didn't know the answer to. They didn't have the answer to these questions. And I think it was almost like, why are you even asking? Why are you worried about these things? But the deep and the why things happen, philosophy, spirituality, these things are important to me. I'm really good. I have the gift of discernment. So I'm really good at like seeing the truth in people, picking up on emotional cues and being able to see when somebody's suffering. I'm a very big empath, and I'm very grateful for this training that I went through because the professional quality of being a coach really helped me to protect myself and taking on people's problems. So I think my life story has put me here. Really, my life story and everything that I'm going through is why I'm here, because I know that there are girls suffering just like I am in the way of not feeling like who I am is good enough and then losing themselves and feeling like you need to redevelop yourself in your life so you don't fall into like chaos or depression or sadness or hopelessness. You know, we have powerful
Yeah.
choice, and I want people to be able to use that.
It can get rough. I mean, my parents weren't exactly thrilled when I told them I wanted to become a life coach, you know.
Why is that?
Yeah, or well, what was the response of the matriarchy in your when you announced, guess what, everyone?
Well, you know what? I'm going to be very honest and tell you that I actually dropped out of college first.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
and I'm actually proud to say this now because I see that this is part of my story. This is part of my story. This is part of who I am. I'm not at all ashamed to be a college dropout. I really am not.
Yeah.
But that the matriarch was like, what are you doing with yourself? What are you going to do? I've always had a dream, though, a big dream to be impactful and be influential. I never knew where or how, but I always knew that I could impact and influence people. So when I dropped out of college, it was all like, okay, now how are you going to do it?
Mm.
So I was on really figuring it out, the journey, and I didn't really feel supported. I kind of felt like this journey for me was kind of lonely. Like I had my dad, my fathers are very big influences on me. They're very wise people. But I kind of felt like I was a little alone on this journey. Again, I think this is part of the journey though. Is for me to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and not really need the validation of other people. So when I finally came back a couple years after dropping out of college and I told them I wanted to be a life coach, they kind of were like, that makes sense.
Oh, that's
That
so
makes
cool.
that makes a lot of sense that you want to do that. So I've had their full support. Now that I've gone out into the world and tried to do this, the feedback that I get is, you're pretty young. You're pretty young. You're pretty young to be a life coach. And so sometimes that can be discouraging. But again, because I feel like this is my purpose and my calling, I have to walk the spiritual route and kind of maintain my faith and just go on the journey, you know?
Right. And I think it's just, I mean, that just comes from a misunderstanding of what life coaching is. Like, you know, it doesn't require an in-depth expertise with life. It's different. It's just, it's like, I think it's more similar to, you know, for people who are just completely unfamiliar with the field, it's like, I don't know, it's like being a carpenter or, you know, someone, it's a profession, right? Like there are definite rules. There are things you can do to become better at it. And it's like, doesn't matter how old the carpenter is, it just matters how skillful the carpenter
I
is.
love that.
You know,
I love that.
I don't see, but you know, to me, because I mean, I got into it when I was in my 20s and the same thing. Like, what are you going to do? You know, who are you going to be a coach for? And one of my first clients was actually a family friend who was, he was in his 50s and 60s and we still are in contact with him. He was so cool. He's so supportive and helped me wrap my mind around this whole thing. When you got your first couple clients, what was that? Like, what kind of validation was that for you?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it was very validating. Because, you know, when you go out and you are an entrepreneur, like I'm not just a life coach. Obviously, I have to be good with sales. I have to be organized. And like, there's other parts of me that I have to pull out. So I'm really good with people. I love people. And I've worked in sales before. So I knew that if I was going to get these people, I would have to kind of pull on those sales strings, like that thing that I'm naturally good at, and combine it with what I believe these people would find beneficial. And so when I kind of went through my sales process with these people, it was working. Like, it was just everything that I was saying to them, like everything that I was able to offer to them, they were like, yes, absolutely. Yes, this is what I need. This is what I need. This is what I need. And I'm like, okay, so this is valuable. This is valuable. And the first client, when I told them about the price, they were like, okay. So I had to do like, some sales tactics there. But even then they were like, okay, yes, this is still something that I want to do. Then my next client, when I told them all about it, they were like, please sign me up now. Like, they didn't even care about like how much it costs. So I was like, okay, so people do need this. And I have found that it's younger people, like people my age, millennials, maybe need what I'm able to offer. Older people may not see the value in it as much, but it was extremely validating, mostly because I feel like I was really good with my sales skills. I'm not gonna lie.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's been very exciting for me.
That's awesome. When you're looking at, or when you're like, so where do you see your zone of genius? Like, where do you think like, this is what, in this time and place in history, this is what I was born to do?
That's a good question, because I've actually been trying to like do a little rebranding to make sure that I'm doing my specific thing.
Right.
And so what I feel like my thing is spirituality and philosophy, right? So the deep. I love, like, why are you doing this? Why is this happening? I love self-awareness and authenticity, like originality and being an individual, no matter how ugly that is or no matter how beautiful that is. I think owning your story, I'm a college dropout. Owning that gives me so much power. It gives me so much power to say that I am a college dropout, as opposed to like trying to push that under the rug. And every time the topic of college comes out, I just dismiss it. No, I'm a college dropout, and there's power. There's just power in the way that we can see ourselves. And so that's where I'm at. I think find power in yourself. And that starts, I think, pretty deep, in a very deep way, figuring out why and how.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, the idea of college and the value of college is shifting, massively shifting. And we're just trying to like, even with the internet and the internet's been around for 30 years now. Like, that's not that long in the course of, the scope of history. And at the same time, I feel like college is just now catching up. All these amazing courses, like you can learn almost anything you want to learn in online or using like trade programs, basically,
I know.
programs.
I think about that. I'm like, is college even gonna, like, what is gonna happen to colleges and universities? Obviously, like scientists and doctors, and psychologists, they will have to maybe get those type of education. But I'm really wondering what is gonna happen to colleges and universities, since we can learn everything online.
It's an interesting, I think they're going to find that their value proposition is going to have to shift. And I think what I've seen a couple of things where some people are predicting that they're going to be just a handful of colleges and universities that really own this space and just dominate because they can offer the best free stuff. And then, it will go similar to the way, like, let's say the big tech companies have gone in terms of the internet. But then there's some forces against that. I think what I see as, because we have a couple daughters, we have a 13-year-old daughter and 11-year-old daughter. We're doing the college type conversations now. We currently homeschool, and it's up to them, if they want to go or not go. It's it's kind of like their thing, like what they want to do. But I can see, I think the only viable option other than college is to be an entrepreneur. That's, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to do college, at least build something. Because I feel like that's a personal development, like even entrepreneurship itself is a personal development path. How has entrepreneur, so there's a lot there. I mean, maybe a jump off point would be, how has entrepreneurship changed you? Or what, like if you looked at your entrepreneurship path as a path of personal development. Like,
so that is a great question, because I definitely think on being an entrepreneur is a mindset for sure. It has shown me so many things about myself that I need to develop. I'm always trying to develop my character and who I am in this world, and how I impact people and how my influence is on people. But being an entrepreneur now is now showing me, are you really good at being disciplined? Are you really good at being organized? Are you really good at right, like reaching out to people? It's showing me these sides of myself that were underdeveloped, right? There are probably other sides of me that are overdeveloped, but I think that entrepreneurship has shown me the things that I need to tap into. And I'm gonna be very honest, Sean. I'm a type 1.
Okay.
Well, I'm a type 1 with a very good blend of type 4. So perfectionist and
I put you on a 4. I put you on a 4.
I'm a blend. I'm a very healthy blend. And
Cool.
I want my 4 to come full force.
Mm-hmm.
But this entrepreneurship journey is putting my type 1 in the front so bad. And it's not a good thing. So, heck no.
It's hard.
It's so tough. And so I've really tried to decipher, like, what is this? Why are you being like this? Where's this coming from? And I know, right, feelings of inadequacy, blah, 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 blah. We don't even have to go down that road. So it's funny. I've attracted more mentors. I've put therapists in my life. I've put so many people and things in my life that are going to help me develop these areas, because I'm not good at it. And I believe in the strength mindset, the growth mindset all day long. Operate in your areas of strength. So these places that I am weak, I definitely am having support and people outsourcing my weaknesses. But yeah, this is putting a mirror in front of my face. It's putting a giant mirror in front of my face.
I think that the challenge of entrepreneurship, the most surprising thing is you have to find ways like to motivate yourself that don't rely on external. You have to almost like shut down the external signals and find a deep place where you think, okay, I'm going to do this work no matter what. And then once that work becomes more important than, okay, like I know I'm going to get money from this, but like that, like push away. Like this just needs to happen. I know you found that yourself, because every entrepreneur has to at some point in time. Where did you find that in yourself?
That's a good question. So I do a lot of reflection, being able to think back on times when I have overcome adversity or major challenges, and thinking about what traits and qualities in myself did I harness, and trying to reharness them now. And I have sticky notes everywhere. Like I have affirmations all over my house, all over my desk, like in the mirror, just to constantly like put those thoughts back in my mind. Also, another thing that I'm doing is not seeing myself only as a life coach. I'm not just a coach. Should I go in the house?
What was that?
Is this noise going to be distracting?
No, I think it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So seeing myself not only as an entrepreneur or not only as a coach, and going to these other parts of my life that rejuvenate me and give me energy. So being a fiance and spending time with my fiance, going back to my childhood and going back to those places that helped me be who I am today. I read a lot. I am a Christian woman, so I study the Bible and I listen to ministry and I work out a lot. So I try to take myself out of this mindset. I don't stay in this zone all the time because it's easy to get defeated. So I go back to these other places that give me power and give me strength and remind me that I am capable and I am powerful and I can do stuff and I can make an impact and I can move forward. And when I get rejuvenated there and I get energy from those places, it's so easy to come back to this place and with this new set of energy and like harness it and put it into my creative endeavors. So
That's
having
great.
to find balance for sure.
That's so great, because I feel like taking care of your own mental emotional place, your own mental emotional state is half of the work of entrepreneurship. But I feel like people think that it should only be like 5% or take it for granted, like your own mental emotional state. And I feel like exercise is the key. Like,
I love it.
if you're exercising, it's going to be okay. Like that's.
Let me tell you something. Exercising really helps me when I feel defeated. And this is for anybody who's listening. When you feel defeated and specifically paralyzed, like perfectionism it can paralyze you. Going to do a workout is forcing you to move. It's forcing you to show yourself that you can take action and like get results. And it just tricks the mind in a beautiful way. I love it. I love it. And so really, I don't even really work out for my physical health necessarily. I work out for my mental health.
Yeah.
To help me, to help me get in gear and to help me move. Dang it.
That's right. That's right. What's your favorite workout? What's your favorite? Like if you had a go-to favorite, like this is.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I don't go to the gym. I'm not that type of workout person. So I love to do workouts that are in the house, that are easy for me to do, that will still give me that kind of sweat and still the pain. So I do a lot of at-home workouts, abs, like the core, chest, anything that's really going to push me, but where I can do it in the convenience of my home. I know that if I had a gym membership, I'm not going to go. That's not going to help me be productive. So when I put something in my home, I can do this twice a day, 5 times a week.
That's impressive. That kind of, yeah, I find that impressive. Homework, I can't wrap my mind on home workouts that well. I feel like it takes so much discipline to do that. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's interesting. My fiance's always like, let's go to the gym. I'm like, I will never go. If I go to the gym, I'm not going to do that. Let me work out at home and you go work out at the gym.
Right. I just have mountain biking. I'll hit the gym. Like when my daughter goes to gymnastics, then I do mine too. It's my accountability. It's her gymnastics.
For sure.
It's
for
lovely.
sure.
It's so lovely.
For sure.
Wow. So here you are. And I mean, the whole thing, like the entrepreneurship thing, like, because in Moist and I, I was teaching full-time, 2008, just quit that job to be a full-time coach. The economy bottoms out. We're month to month for 2 years, like living on love and scholarship, until the client base starts to click and things break open. And so tools that I used, or like the vision story, was like huge for me. Empathetic motivation, big. What are some of the tools that you're using from the coaching course that you're finding like, yeah, these are the handful of tools that really, speak to you?
That's a good one. So I really like, and I hope this isn't cliche, I really like core motivations, obviously, because that gives me that why. It helps me see how you are, and why you are the way you are. I'm discerning and I'm pretty smart. I feel like when somebody tells me about their core motivation, I can kind of get a good idea of what I'm going to be dealing with.
Right.
And I love it so much. I feel like it gives people self-awareness. I mean, when my clients use it, they're like, wow, and I love self-awareness. So anything that's giving me self-awareness, I love future pacing and future self. I actually had a speaking event that I did, and I did the future self exercise on my audience, and they all were like, oh my gosh, wow. Like that is such they called it like a millennial, like meditative thing, but that was very impactful for them. And I really, really love that the assumptions chart. I really love it. So easy to do, quick and in the moment, to kind of check yourself. So those are some of my favorite. I love direct communication. Anything that's going to make me say what I need to say. I love acknowledgement. I love championing people. I love championing. I love it. I'm the biggest cheerleader. And I remember when I was in my coaching session, one of the teachers was like, well, you want to be sure that you don't want to be too much of a cheerleader for your clients. But I am a cheerleader. I am all day a cheerleader. I love championing my clients because I can see that it makes them feel like they are capable of great things, especially championing them in those areas where their life told them that they were not a champion. If something in your life, people in your life made you feel like you weren't good enough, I love to be able to come back and be the one to constantly remind you that you in fact are a champion. So I love championing. I hope I don't do it too much, but I think that empowerment and positive reinforcement helps people grow. Love helps people grow for sure.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, these tools, you find the ones that work for you, and then it's remarkable to see how it feels like the tool takes on a life of its own. You start to develop certain relationships with them and go, oh yeah, this old friend, I'm going to bring this perspective back, or yeah, I want to use that here. Have you your fiance, have you done the core motivation with them, and how's that working out?
That is so funny that you asked that, because he will not let me be his coach. He's like, you will be my wife, you will not be my coach. And I'm like, it's funny. It's funny that you think that, that they're different. But I have to be careful not to coach him, because I don't think that he wants to be my client right now. And if he is, he'll probably be my very, very last client. But yes, my fiance is the doer. He's also the thinker. He's more of the doer. So that's really, really good for me as a perfectionist. It's really, really good. I learned so much from him because he just gets into gear and just does it. Sometimes he does it prematurely, and it's something he learns, but he is a great example of somebody who takes action and uses his ambition to be assertive and to drive him towards his goals. So yes, for sure.
Oh, that's great. It's fun. I think for me and Moise, like, it's been an amazing tool because it just sharpens. I mean, it helps you sharpen your just communication style. Where oh, okay, let me put this in doer language. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a 7 and she's a 9, and sometimes she'll say, let me put this in 7 language. It's going to be the most epic experience ever to go out into the crisp, clear night and take the garbage out. I go, awesome. I can wrap my brain around epic experience. And when I go out, I will look at the moon and I will breathe that in, and then I'll take the garbage out.
I love that.
What are the keys? Like, what are the tweaks or the little communication hacks that you've picked up?
So let me tell you what my favorite
does.
one. Yes, yeah. My favorite one is the one that I've learned about how to interrupt people properly. I can't think. It's not bottom lining. I can't think of what it is, but bottom lining, right? Mm-hmm. So when I'm having conversations with people and they're going off on a tangent, I love to be able to call their name and say, what is the purpose of this story? Like, why are you telling me this? Because I can tell that you're going off on a tangent. So I hope that's not like rude. Nobody has ever seen it as rude. People have seen it as, okay, you actually are getting me back on track. So that is actually my favorite one, I think, is bottom lining, and being able to show people what I see, being able to act like a mirror and kind of acknowledge and say, can I show you what I just witnessed? Or can I show you what I feel like just happened? Can I share? So those are my 2 favorite things, because I feel like I'm really, like, it's easy to use those things in every area of my life. Like in any relationship, it's easy to use bottom lining, and it's really able to use acknowledgement. So those are my 2 favorite ones, one that I go to probably the most.
Bottom lining is, I mean, that is not for the faint of heart. I mean, you have to really, and to do it well, I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of empathy for people to feel like you're still, listening to them, or you're still on their side. Impressive. That's a hard one to pull off consistently. Like, when did you know? Like, what was the point in your training that you felt like, this made, like, the coaching profession clicked? Like, at what point did you feel like it clicked for you, and what was the key idea?
So there were actually 2 moments for me. I don't know how I stumbled upon the coach training EDU, but I had the free session to kind of see what coaching is like. Oh my gosh, that one session with Brittany, who ended up actually being my trainer, was it for me. I was like, this is everything that I want it to be, because there was empathy. There was a clear amount of empathy and compassion for people's heart. It was very clear that this was, for me, that this was a heart-centered profession, and that I could impact people like this. I didn't have to go back to school and go be a psychologist. I didn't have to go back and do anything. I can start right here and start impacting people in a major way. So that session, I cried in that session, because I was like, oh my gosh, I have found everything that I need. And then later, I ended up joining the training, and I had my first overview, and my Raj Anderson, she was my trainer. And as soon as we went into it, she cut it off in the first 5 minutes. And she was like, Gabrielle, you are way too open. You are way too empathetic. And this is going to cause you a problem. This is going to cause you pain. This is going to be a detriment for you later. And she was like, you need to set more boundaries for yourself. So I needed to hear that, because being out in the world like this, I wasn't setting boundaries. I was just being here for everybody and being an empath and taking people's problems home with me. So when I was able to talk to her about that, she related to me. She said she was that exact same way. She said the whole point of that professional quality, right? There's the 7 qualities of being a coach, but the professionalism part, she's like, the whole point we are making this a regulated thing is so the coaches can be protected. She's like, you have to be a professional coach so you can protect yourself. Oh my gosh. She didn't have to tell me that again. Nobody has ever had to tell me anything about my boundaries since then, because now that I have put my heart in a profession, it has helped me give myself boundaries and to take care of myself. So, I mean, it's really working in a personal way too. Right. So those 2 moments were big for me.
Yeah, I love coaching for many reasons. Among them is that it offers a really clear path to also personal development. Mm-hmm. You develop stronger as a coach, you're going to develop stronger as a person. Like you have to, because your own bias is going to come up. The way you ask questions, like the way that you frame things, the way you're thinking, the way you're even listening is a reflection of your own personal development. And then you tie that together with trying to be an entrepreneur at the same time, you're putting yourself into a huge personal development pressure cooker.
Right.
And hopefully on the other side of it, you look, I made it, like this is okay. Like, wow. Mm-hmm. It's a journey, and it's not for the faint of heart.
It's definitely a journey. And that's something that that word is something that I'm trying to hold on to and not see life as destination, like really trying to be here in the moment and just go day by day. Like a year ago, I started coach training EDU, and now I have my own coaching business, right? So it's just like, just like enjoy this journey and be here. So yeah, journey is a big thing. I think everybody needs to think about their life. Your life is a journey, and there isn't one place that you're trying to get to. Like, yeah, we all want to be like rich and impactful and blah, 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 blah. But like, what about these people that you impact during the day? Like, what about these strangers that you can impact? And what about the conversations that you can have? And what about the compliments that you can give when you go to the grocery store? Like, there's so much more to your life than that one place that you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yes, it just becomes really rich extremely quickly once you know, okay, I like there is this big, we'll call it macro accountability. Like, is the business going to make it or not? Is the big accountability filled with all these little micro ones that go into it? All the little things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. it can be it's a lot sometimes.
It's actually one thing that's important to me in my coaching is that I get people to see the other parts of themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you have a vision and you have ways that you want to impact yourself, but there are other parts of you that are valuable as well.
Right. Yeah, there's this working with another trainer. She just joined us, and she has a background in positive psychology. And one of the things we're talking about is this internal family therapy, where there's different aspects of self in like different, almost like different selves that you can that have different character traits and different ways to access these. And coaching provides a way, almost like an internal map of who am I and why does this part want to chime up now? Like, why is this inner critic annoying me right now? Kind of stuff. What advice would you have for, because it's a lot. I mean, I feel like the coach training throws a lot at someone all at the same time. What advice would you have for someone who is just starting out their coach training journey?
What advice would I have? I would say continue to follow your heart and follow where your spirit is taking you. I kind of feel like this is an intuitive thing that we have to do. We have to be very intuitive. So I say continue to listen to your intuition. I think that if you are here now, if you're at the beginning of this journey, it's because this is where you should be. And it's just a matter of how you want to coach people. It's funny because a lot of my clients are saying they want to be coaches too, right? They also want to lead people and impact people to be better than what they are now. So it's just a matter of how you want to do what you want to do. We need more leaders, and we need more people who believe in positive development of people. So please do this. If you want to be a coach, please do it. Please do it. And make sure that you find your niche. And if you're having a hard time finding your niche, I would say think back to whatever it is that you suffered through that you don't want anybody else to suffer through. That is what you should coach people through. That, I think, is where you will be valuable.
That's well said. It's I was working with a marketer, and he said something about a very easy way to find your brand is to ask the question, what do you stand against? Or what is it? What are the key core things that you really like would fight against, both personally, but more importantly, even professionally? And his thing was confusion. He fought against confusion by providing clarity. And you just like, boom, like you just feel it, what is the thing? And it's usually, it's not just like a specific like person, but it's more like, what is the concept, or what is the I don't know.
The word.
Yeah. Like what is what is the big, like universal experience that everyone shares that you're fighting against? So Gabrielle, what is yours? What
you know what? I'm actually prepared for this.
What's
Truth.
up?
I'm truth. 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 The truth. Damn it. What is the truth though? What is the truth? Because the truth will set you free. Even if it is ugly, if it is messy, it is ugly. The truth will set you free. The truth will empower you. I care about the truth. I've always cared about the truth. Being discerning. It's easy for me to see when people are lying. I hate dishonesty. But in truth, there's vulnerability, there's authenticity, there's individuality. But that's why I think the main thing is truth. Wow. Truth. Not
just
facts.
You say that, I'm like, yep, that's it. It lands, checks out. Like you're in your power. This makes sense. Wow, it is lovely to be in a space with someone like that.
And truth versus fact is very different. It's funny because I feel like the matriarch, and my sister is a psychologist and my cousin is a lawyer, so they're fact people. They're like, but what does the data say? What does the paperwork say? What's the facts? And I'm like, but what's the truth? They're hardly ever the same. The facts and the truth are hardly ever the same. You can literally think about lawyers. They're not telling you the truth. They're telling you the facts. The truth and facts are not the same. And I think truth is more important.
Right. Because the truth takes into account context. It takes into account just a larger, like more factors than, this is the cut and dry fact of it. I just was thinking, so I was driving home. I love these distinctions, by the way, like making distinctions between two different things. Like what's the difference between truth and fact? Like, wow, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Talk about that all day. I was driving my daughter home from gymnastics, and we were talking about the difference between a reason and an excuse.
Oh, I love it.
Isn't that cool? It's like, that is the cool, like what a fun fun thing to bat around, because it's a real thing. Like, like that can be an excuse or it could be a reason. What's the difference? And I think she's 11. I think what we settled on is a reason is something that you can take action on. Like it gives you information that you can actually use to make it better. An excuse, you don't take action on it. You just let it sit there.
That's a big one. It's amazing. I love it. I love being able to decipher between things. And I know you're the one interviewing me, but I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like being a coach and also being a parent, like, do you find yourself coaching your children? And if you do you find that is a detriment for your relationship with them as their father, or do you find that is a benefit?
Well, both of Moise and I are trained coaches. So she got into it before I did. And the reason I got into it is because I was the practice client for people in her training program. So my first coaching session was basically like a student who's going through her coaching too. And as soon as I had that first session, I thought, this is amazing. Like, why am I having this conversation? Like, I was still like, early 20s, but I still thought, why am I only having this conversation now? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Why didn't this happen when I was in high school or even middle school? This would have been a game changer for me. That was my introduction. What I found with the Moist is that we work together really well. It just works really well. And I think a part of it is because we have the coaching tool set to be very precise in our communication. And I feel like there's a certain precision that comes when you can make these discernments. Oh, is this, are we saying this because like, is it truth? Or are you saying it because you're saying this from a certain perspective, and from this perspective, it seems true. But when we shift this other perspective, well, maybe this is, this part over here is more interesting. Maybe we should try on this perspective. So you know what I mean? Like, it gets super like really jargon filled, but so precise that it just makes communication extremely effective. I said probably step one. Step two is similar to the coaching world. As a coach, you get to be curious, but then you don't get to be but the price of that is to not be attached to a particular outcome. That's the big one. So as a parent, I mean, I feel like I get to be and our kids are, I mean, they grew up, both the Moist and I were trained as coaches before they were born. So they've grown up. I mean, when the Moist was giving birth, we had all of our, affirmations posted all over the place, like all the birth affirmations. Right. I wonder if we still have them. I mean, it feels like there's a level of, I want to listen to you empathetically, that it just, I want that experience for every parent. Doing it with like a 2-year-old is mind blowing. And most people don't even know how. But listening empathetically to a 2-year-old is the coolest thing,
I don't doubt it. I actually did. I got carried away, but I actually did the future self exercise on my little brother.
Oh, and fun.
He was 8. He was 8 years old, and I did it on him. And it was powerful for him. I mean, what we got out of that, I think he was so excited. I mean, I even asked him about the guy, you give him a nickname. I asked him about him now, and he gets such a smile on his face. So I do think, I mean, if we could just start early. I used to be a preschool teacher, and specifically preschool for a reason. I didn't want to go higher than 4 because I want to get your mind trained in the right way. I want you to think the right things. By the time you get to middle school, like, you've already had your perspectives on life. So I think if we could just start with them young too, if we could just start young and start in the house, oh my gosh, we can make much better people. We can create better humans.
Yeah. I mean, Paloma, our 13-year-old, I mean, it's just, I can't wait for her to go and see what she creates. Like, it's just like, oh my goodness. Like both the girls, I mean, they're powerhouses. And the coolest thing about it is that they understand the value of adversity. And that is just like, or how to use it to create value, even how to use it even to create value, like what you're talking about. Like, how do you use your story of, what, I dropped out of college, I became an entrepreneur, and look, I made it. That even adds to your message. It adds to like the impact that you're having. That's huge. And I feel like that's what, I mean, that cannot be taken for granted, how powerful that is.
I think so. But I'm just now starting to make sure that I put all of those ugly parts of my story, all of the challenges that I did overcome. I'm trying to make sure that I do put those in there, because I think it's easy to not want to be vulnerable with those things. Right. But you are very right. In a business sense, you have to think like personally and professionally. Sometimes it's different perspectives. So personally, it may not be something you want to put out there, but professionally, this is going to help your business. Right. So a mindset shift that I had to make. But I definitely agree.
It's hard. I mean, it's because it is, I think when entrepreneurship, what I'm interested in is this idea of, because a mindset, there's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Fixed mindsets, it's more like called performance based. You're basically judging your performance really harshly, like how can I be better now, kind of thing. Growth mindset is how can I learn from my current performance to be better in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just splitting that off roughly. There's much more to it. And that there may be better ways to split it out, but let's just go with that one for now. Interesting in entrepreneurship, I feel like there's a similar kind of idea between having a fixed income and a growth income mindset. Where a fixed income mindset, it becomes, okay, this is my job, this is how much this is it, which is fine. That's great to be in. But to really step into that entrepreneurship space, you have to get used to a growth income mindset, which means that sometimes I don't know how much I'm going to make this month. It's all 100% variable. I don't know how well school prepares people for that experience.
I don't think that it does. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. I think a lot of the way life is designed doesn't necessarily set people up for the most authentic success. And let me be honest with you, what kind of pushed me into thinking about why people make the decisions they make is when Robin Williams committed suicide, I was very taken aback. I think the whole world kind of was taken aback. And that's when I realized that money and fame and success is not what is most important in this world. I mean, this guy impacted people's childhood and was really good at what he did. There was obviously something else going on with him that caused him to take his life. And I think those things are important. I think that these things need to be addressed. Like these movies that he's making, doesn't matter if when he's done, he wants to take his life. So why people make the decisions they make and making sure that you're making authentic decisions became really important to me then. I know a lot of people want money and fame, but like not at the cost of your life, not at the cost of your life at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it didn't make sense, didn't compute. And I think what's interesting now is I feel like a lot more celebrities are being more open about what it's really like. And it doesn't, I mean, I think fame creates as many problems as it solves. And
that's a good point.
It's, you have to give up your anonymity. Like, there's a higher price to it. And we had a Hollywood A-lister take one of our courses, and it was like super like confidential. It was super cool. I'm going to doubt it. I mean, it's just like, whoa, no, I'm kidding. But it didn't mean that it was, I mean, it's just a person with a high profile. Mm-hmm. And there's something beautiful about that. And this person was super generous, just really amazing. And yeah, I feel like this world fulfillment, it's an internal, it's not external as much as it's an internal game. And what's the irony is I feel like once the internal game is figured out, it shows up more external. So it's this weird, like, topsy-turvy thing.
I think it's why there's so much, mental health and like how, and like these things are starting to be talked about more, which is so good. But I think that because we're not making authentic decisions, or we don't know what authentic decisions to make, I feel like this is contributing to stress, right? Which is like the number one killer of us in America. It's contributing to anxiety and depression because we're not living how we should be living or how we want to live. And then we don't know how we should be living. Sometimes we get so far gone away from ourselves, so I think these things are so important. I think we need to make authentic decisions, conscious decisions that are putting us where we want to go. And like you said, I don't think that this world prepares you for that. As a result, I feel like there's a lot more depression, mental illness, stress, suicide. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, I think it was younger generation too, like our daughters, like their friends, it's almost it's just accepted that you have something that you're working with, like, like anxiety or depression, or it's almost, I wouldn't put it so far as cool, but it's just expected. So then you have, the daughter of two life coaches who shows up sunny and happy and
That's amazing.
flower drawing. I mean, this is her artwork, like just flowers everywhere, like it's almost unusual to see someone who's grounded in happiness. And there's so much like technology pressure, all of it. But no, I feel like the world, like for what you're talking about, even knowing like what do I do with my life? Life coaching, I feel like is the antidote to a lot of what the world is suffering from. Kindness, lack of kindness, empathy, all of it. Gabrielle, our time, we're reaching the top again of the hour. What how can we support you? How can people find out about you? How can the Coach Training EDU community support you?
First of all, I love the coach training community. Everybody there is so sweet. Ashley, Mike, you, Brittany, everybody is just so sweet and so inclusive. So please keep thinking about me, even though I have graduated. I love that I've been able to have already 2 interviews with you guys. So yeah, keep me included for sure. Definitely look out at www.iconcoachstudio.com. That's my website. I think that if we make authentic decisions and we walk in the path that is authentic to us, we will feel like an icon and we will be an icon. And I think we should all be icons. But yeah, just stay connected. I love connection. I love, communicating, talking, learning. I've loved this whole thing, but connection is important, and stay inclusive with people for sure.
We'll get you on the blog, and we'll get you a solid backlink, all those good things that come with it. And let us know, any big thing you have coming out. If you have, a planner or a book, or hey, I'm on this speaking tour, check it out, stuff that. Let us know. And we're putting up a new forum that we're creating right now. So there's going to be a platform for alumni to stay connected to the community. We're going to put out an announcement in the next couple of weeks on that. So
I'm excited about that. Thank you for keeping everybody connected, all the graduates connected.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things that was surprising to me at the beginning of coach training was the level of connection that happens between the participants on a course. And it's one of the things I look forward to the most when I see a new cohort starting off. So
exciting. Thank you for putting this program together. It was amazing.
It's a joy. It really was. Like, it felt like, it's that sense of, like when you have the feeling like I was born to do this work, like this is what I was born to do. That's it. And it almost feels like, of course this needs to happen because there's a need.
That's just the next step, right? That's just the next step.
This is what needs to happen. Yes. So thank you. Yeah. For being a part of it and being part of this community. And thank you for those who are listening, and for those who are listening live, and for those who are listening to the recording. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been another Coaching to Flourish podcast. See you next time.